6 months ago, I was barely able to reach my fingertips over the top of a volleyball net, which meant that I could only play defensive positions when I played with other people. And I didn't mind that so much because I grew up as a libero and I really like playing defensive positions. But much like anybody who has seen volleyball before, I wanted to hit a ball downwards sometimes. We all know it looks cool. We all want to do it. So I set out on a journey of doubling my vertical within the next year. I was starting with a 16-inch approach vertical, which is well below average for my age group and height. In just 6 months, I have doubled that vertical and tested a 32-inch approach vertical. Where I could only get my fingertips above the net before, I am now getting everything above my elbow over the net. I'm able to properly block, I'm able to hit pretty hard, and it's pretty awesome. During this time, I tracked literally everything that I did. Every single day that I played, for how long, when I went to the gym, what I did at the gym, when I did plyos, what type of plyos I did, when I had personal training, what exercises I did at personal training. I tracked everything for these 6 months. So you can see, not just in the vague way that a lot of jumping YouTubers talk about, in terms of how this will slightly improve this, or this will target this muscle group, or this will help you with concentric and eccentric motions. You can literally see the graphs that I have of the effects of every single exercise that I did tracked to the day that I did it. I've also plotted it against a standard model of what would be expected improvement in something physical, so you can see at what points I fell behind standardized improvement and maybe wasn't doing enough of the things I should be doing or was doing too much of other things, and where I was exceeding it and maybe doing good things. That whole spreadsheet is available in the description. I'm gonna go through it now and I'm gonna explain to you the entire exact routine that I did it, why I chose the things that I do in my routine, and how I did them and how I think you should do them properly. Here is a 6-month routine that I followed exactly and doubled my vertical, and I can promise it'll add a good few inches to yours. Let's get started. All right, first things first, let me take you through the general layout of things, all right? So there were 4 types of ways that I tried to improve my vertical, okay? The first and most basic is playing the game, and that is jumping and trying to hit the ball during recreational play, whether this be competitive leagues or open gyms or fun with friends, whatever. It's about max effort approach jumps. Basically, the idea is you're trying to jump as high as possible and hit the ball down as hard as possible. When you have a 16-inch vertical and you're 5'7", you're not going to be able to hit the ball down over the net. When my fingertips are the only thing that can get over the net, I can't really hit the ball downwards. But you try anyways. You just try to reach. You do your max effort approach, and that's how you're going to improve your technique. You can improve your technique a lot by watching other people and trying to copy how they approach, but honestly, the thing that improves your technique the most at first is just doing max effort jumps as much as possible. What you'll notice when you look at the spreadsheet is that more than anything else, I just played the game of volleyball. I just hit the ball. It outnumbers every other exercise 5-1, and it helps massively. You can even see when it comes to the correlation coefficients that playing the game had a above average effect on my improvement than any other thing did. Basically, playing was more highly correlated to improving my vertical beyond the normal curve of improvement than all of the other things. Just doing max effort jumps are possibly the single best thing that you can do for your vertical, especially starting out. You will really lock in the feeling of what makes you jump high, what you have to do as you approach to jump high. It's the single most important thing, in my opinion. The other 3 things, going to the gym. This is about strengthening the muscles. When you go to the gym and you try to strengthen the muscles that you have, that allows you to produce more force. If you can't produce a lot of force, you can't jump high. It's just that simple. That being said, just because you can produce a lot of force doesn't mean that you can jump high. I'm sure you've heard other jumping YouTubers talk about this. You need a mixture of muscle strength and muscle adaptation. So don't think that you can just get away with doing plyos and just jumping a bunch. You need to be strong in the first place. I'm lucky that my legs were already reasonably strong. They were just kind of untrained for jumping. So I was able to go a little bit lighter played on the gym. You'll see I went to the gym, I think 11 times during this 6 months, and I was able to build some extra strength from that. And with another 6 sessions of personal training, that also built more leg strength. And that definitely helped and was definitely correlated with improvement, but not as much as just jumping. But that's for me personally, because I think I already had a lot of the prerequisite strength. The next thing is plyos. Plyos are basically exercises that are intended to help your body adapt the strength that you have for jumping, for generating the force that you need to generate as you do your approach and as you do your jump. It's very specified training. Plyos, there are probably 100, maybe more different plyos that you can do. And I think the list of plyos that I have, the routine that I have, is a very strong routine. Finally, personal training. I started this only at the very end of the 6 months as I started to plateau. Having someone else helped a lot in terms of knowing what to train, helping me find areas that I could improve on, things to target that were maybe holding me back. Like for example, core strength wasn't something that I had considered, but when we started training core more, especially lower back, I actually was able to jump higher, especially more consistently, because it turns out that, just any weak point in what helps you jump is going to make you jump a little bit lower. So let's first look at a typical gym day. Because my focus was on jumping, my gym days didn't really include arm or shoulder exercises, things that are important for your body but aren't necessarily important for jumping. So if you want to fit those into your gym routine as well, that makes perfect sense. For me, my gym days were split between focusing on core and focusing on legs. Those were basically the 2 most important things for me. For legs, I wanted 2 different exercises that target each muscle group. So calf raises, I had a calf raise machine at the gym that I went to, and then I could also on a leg press, I could just put my toes on the leg press, and that would allow me to do another calf exercise in that regard. Quads, hams, you should target them with whatever 2 machines you can target them with. If you only have dumbbells, there are ways to target them with dumbbells as well, but I was using machines at the gym. Core, you want some kind of lift that's going to target your whole core at the same time, and then you can use some kind of ab machine. Abs are really easy to do at home. You can do abs at home. Abs, lower back, don't underestimate how much they matter for generating jumping strength. If you've ever taken chemistry, you might have heard of the limiting reagent. There are like 15 different parts of your body that are contributing to you jumping. And the thing that is going to hold you back from your best jump is the one that's the weakest. It's a constant battle of identifying which part of your body is now the weakest and making it a little bit better. Like, oh, my lower back sucks now. Okay, I gotta strengthen my lower back a bit. Okay, now I'm being held back by my quads. I gotta strengthen my quads a bit. And you keep going through that cycle, and that's how you continue to improve your vertical jump. So you just need to be aware of what feels like it's weak. And that's why playing, again, comes in handy. If you play 2 hours of volleyball and you're jumping over and over again, you're gonna feel what your limiting reagent is. Your calves are gonna start to burn. Maybe your quads are gonna start to burn. Your hams are gonna start to burn. Maybe some of the stabilizer muscles on the outside of your lower leg, they're gonna start to burn. Maybe your lower back is gonna start to hurt. If you play 2 hours of volleyball, you do 2 hours of max approach. Maybe if you're a basketball player, you do 2 hours of dunk practice, whatever. If you do 2 hours of max effort approaches, you will find out what your limiting reagent is. You will find out what's holding you back. And then you just focus on that on the gym. That is the main purpose of the gym, is strengthening the things that needs to be strengthened. You make sure you're doing everything, but you can put a particular focus on the things that are holding you back at this time. All right, so my exact plyos routine is pretty simple. Start by stretching the muscles that you're gonna use. This is really important. It's obvious, but a lot of people don't do it anyways. Plyos can cause damage to your muscles if they're not properly warmed up, if they're not properly ready for the exercise that you're gonna do. You can't do a depth drop off of, 10 feet without expecting to injure your tendons. You have to build your way up to things. So stretching is the most important thing. I start off with just a few lunges, a few hip bridges, 90-90s, things that are gonna get my legs warmed up for the exercises that I'm about to do. Then my first plyo is 3 sets of 8 lunge jumps. Basically, you're coming down into a lunge and jumping from that lunge into the opposite lunge. And you're going back and forth 8 times on each leg. The idea of these is that you get that really low squat that you're not getting throughout a lot of other plyos. Like I said, I tried to make my plyo routine kind of diverse, and these lunge jumps get you to a weird position that I don't think any other plyos really do. And I think that's good. Being able to jump well out of these weird, really low squat, split leg positions is just good for your stabilizer muscles. It's good for your ability to actually jump in a game. In a game, whether it's a game of volleyball or a game of basketball, being able to jump from awkward positions is necessary because you're not always gonna have a perfect approach, especially if there's a defender and you're playing basketball. My second plyo is seated jumps. This is another 8 reps, 3 sets. The idea of these is that you don't get the downward motion that you would get from a standing jump. You basically come straight from sitting to jumping up. You're still gonna get a little bit of a bend. It's like a mini squat before you go up, but you can't do that full downward squat. And so you're really focusing on the second half of the jump there. And that's just a good thing to train. Third, and honestly, maybe the most important other than max effort approach, sprints. I do 3 times 40-meter sprints, making sure I'm resting for like at least a minute in between so I'm completely fresh. While you're sprinting, your goal is for every step to hit the ground as hard as possible, as fast as possible. People don't think about it. Sprinting is jumping in many ways. You are trying to have your foot touch the ground, create as much force as possible to propel you, whether it's forward or upward, and get off the ground as quick as possible so that you continue moving. Next, I do depth jumps. This is 3 sets of 5 reps. Depth jumps, we do a little bit fewer reps because these can be a little bit harder on your legs, a little bit harder on your tendons. You really only want to be doing these depth jumps from a height that you have built yourself up to. Ideally a little lower than your actual vertical at first. So if your starting vertical is like mine, 16 inches, maybe just start 15 inches off the ground. The idea being you step off of some elevated surface, you land, and you try to jump as high as possible using the force from the landing. This can be a little confusing for people at first. It was really confusing for me at first because there's sort of like a dual mandate in my head where I want to jump as high as possible. But when I want to jump as high as possible, I want to squat down and really build a lot of force. That was my natural idea of how I jump high. When you do a depth jump, if you let yourself squat all the way down and then jump up, you might as well not have done the depth jump. You're not using the force that you came down with. So you sort of have to do this in between where you try to get as high as possible, but you also try to go fast. You get a feel for it as you do it more. This is not going to be your max vertical. You will notice yourself jumping lower than you do just standing on the ground. That's okay. It's just about converting force. My next plyo is 4 times 20-meter vertical bounds. Don't worry if you can't measure out 20 meters, just get a general idea of just a short distance where you're doing vertical bounds. The idea of bounds is that you're jumping off one leg as high as you possibly can. It's sort of like a skip, and you're gonna move a little bit forward, but mostly you're jumping upwards. And this just builds that stability and that strength in those individual legs. Take a long time between your 20 meters, so do your 20 meters, wait a while, 30 seconds to a minute, do your next ones. You wanna be fresh for these. And finally, ending the plyo session with what is, in my opinion, the most fun, the 3x3 max approaches. 3 sets of 3 reps, max approach, max effort approach jumps. Pick something that you can barely reach, and now you're gonna be tired from all these plyos, and you're gonna have to reach for the absolute best you can. This is not gonna be your best jump ever. You just did 6 different plyos and stretched, all right? You're not gonna be jumping the perfect jump here. The goal is to combine all of the strength that you're building into approaches, to utilize all of the muscle and the adaptation that you have to get your body as high off the ground as possible. And these are really an opportunity to figure out your technique and apply things and try things that you can then use later in, say, a game in a real situation. And that's pretty much it as far as the routine goes. Mainly, I was trying to play at least 3 times a week and then trying to do gym or plyos 1 time a week, and then make sure that you have at least 2 rest days a week. When you're doing all of this strength building and body adaptation and exhausting yourself playing the game, you need time off. Your body needs to rest. Not resting is going to hinder your progress more than resting will. Resting is just good for you, I promise. Every time I come back from not playing volleyball for a week, I always play play better, I always jump higher. Everything is just better when you're fresh. You're not gonna lose muscle, especially if you're eating right. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them below. Have a good one.